Let's get into these NFL playoffs. It's the divisional round, NFL playoff round. Let's talk about the matchup between the Bengals and the Bills on Sunday afternoon in Buffalo. The Cincinnati Bengals beat the Buffalo Bills 27-10. For the Bengals, Joe Burrow was sensational. He went 23 of 36. He threw for 242 passing yards, 2 touchdowns in the game. Joe Mixon had a great game. He had 20 carries, 105 rushing yards, 1 touchdown. For the Bills, Josh Allen, he went 25 of 42. He threw for 265 passing yards, 1 interception in this game. So, my overall takeaway from this game was this game was not decided Sunday afternoon in Buffalo. No. It wasn't decided Sunday afternoon in Buffalo. I want to go back to last year in the playoffs, and I'm going to specific dates at this point. I want to go back to January 23rd, 2022. The Chiefs beat the Bills in Arrowhead, 42-36. Josh Allen played sensational in that game. He had like 4 touchdowns. Gabriel Davis had 4 touchdown receptions in that game. And the game went to overtime, and the Buffalo Bills lost that game, and the Chiefs won that game, but the Bills had an opportunity to win that game in regulation, and they couldn't keep the Chiefs out of field goal range in 13 seconds. So you fast forward to a week later, January 30th, in Kansas City. The Bengals beat the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game 27-24. And the Bengals go on to the Super Bowl. They lost to Aaron Donald and the LA Rams, but they were competitive in that game. And if it wasn't for Aaron Donald, the Cincinnati Bengals would have won their first Super Bowl in franchise history. So, before we entered the 2022 season, everyone did their preseason predictions for MVP, for who's going to be in the Super Bowl. And all I heard during the offseason was Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. That's all I heard. All I heard was Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. And I was thinking during the offseason, this past offseason, I was thinking to myself, the Bills are getting more credit for losing to the Chiefs in the divisional round of the playoffs than the Bengals are getting credit for beating the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game and advancing to the Super Bowl. I'm going to say it again for everyone in the back. The Buffalo Bills got more credit for losing in the divisional round playoff game against the Chiefs than the Bengals got for beating the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game and advancing to the Super Bowl. So when everyone did their preseason predictions and who was going to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl, I heard Buffalo Bills over the Cincinnati Bengals. I heard the Buffalo Bills more than I heard the Cincinnati Bengals, as if Buffalo beat Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes, not Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. So I was appalled. I ain't a Bengal fan, but I live here in Cincinnati, and I'm thinking, what the hell is going on here? And then everyone talked about, okay, who's going to win NFL MVP this year? I didn't hear Joe Burrow. I heard Josh Allen. Everyone talked about, oh, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. It wasn't Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes, despite Joe Burrow previously beating Patrick Mahomes twice the previous season. Twice. I heard Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. It wasn't Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. And I just felt like the Bengals and Joe Burrow felt disrespected. So we fast forward to the regular season. And the Bengals and the Bills played down at Paycor Stadium. It was week 17, and we had tragic circumstances surrounding Damar Hamlin. And after that, the NFL had to make some adjustments because that game that was going to be played between the Bills and Bengals in week 17, that game was going to determine where the divisional round playoff game was going to be played, whether it's going to be in Buffalo or Cincinnati. So the NFL decided that they were going to hold a neutral site for an AFC championship game with the Bills and the Chiefs. But the Bengals had a chance at the number 1 seed had they beaten the Bills in week 17 and won in week 18 against the Ravens. But the NFL didn't give the Bengals a chance to secure the number 1 seed. What the NFL did was the NFL robbed the Bengals of that opportunity, and instead, the NFL forced the Bengals to have to play in week 18 against the Ravens because the Bengals had won the AFC North. They had won the AFC North outright. So how in the hell, if I win my division, do I have to go on the road if I lose in week 18? If the Ravens would have won in week 18 against the Bengals, they were going to do a coin flip for where the wild card game would have been played the following week. So despite the Bengals winning the AFC North, if they lost the coin flip, they would have had to travel to Baltimore and play the Ravens and Lamar Jackson if he would have came back and played in Baltimore. So the Bengals felt disrespected because of that as well. So I believe there were 3 motivating factors as to why the Bengals dominated the Bills the way that they did. They were already motivated going into this football game. And I'm going to get to the X's and O's of the game here shortly. But the fact that the narrative after the season and into the offseason was the Buffalo Bills are the favorites in the AFC to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl instead of being the Bengals, despite the Bengals winning the AFC last year. And Josh Allen is better than Joe Burrow, despite Joe Burrow having a better season last year than Josh Allen. Let's look at the numbers, shall we? Josh Allen last year, he has 36 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, 4,407 passing yards. He completed 63% of his passes. Joe Burrow last year, 34 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, 4,611 passing yards. He completed 70% of his passes. That was a league best. So Joe Burrow had a higher completion percentage than Josh Allen did last year. Joe Burrow threw less interceptions last season than Josh Allen did as well. Let's fast forward to this season, shall we? Josh Allen, 35 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, 4,283 passing yards. He completed 63% of his passes. Joe Burrow this year, 35 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 4,475 passing yards, completing 68% of his passes. The second consecutive season where Joe Burrow had a higher completion percentage than Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow had less turnovers than Josh Allen had. So the whole narrative of Josh Allen being better than Joe Burrow, it's over. It's over. And the narrative of the Buffalo Bills being the second best team in the AFC or the biggest threats to the Chiefs, that's over as well, because that's the Cincinnati Bengals. So I ain't even got to the X's and O's yet of this game. I'm just talking about the things that I thought about as I prepared for the week, thinking about, okay, who's going to win this game between the Bengals and the Bills playoff matchup in the divisional round. I'm thinking about how the Bengals were motivated before we even got to what happened Sunday. Joe Burrow was motivated because he heard all the naysayers and all the media personalities talking about how Josh Allen was better than him. Now, I said coming into the postseason, they were on the same level. If you want to say Joe Burrow and Josh Allen is on the same level, I'm okay with that. But don't say that Josh Allen is better than Joe Burrow is, because Joe Burrow did something that Josh Allen was unable to do, and that's beat Patrick Mahomes 3 times in a row and also lead his team to a Super Bowl. So I felt like the Bengals felt disrespected by the NFL. They felt disrespected when the NFL made their decision to sell pre-sale tickets to the AFC Championship game with the Bills and the Chiefs in Atlanta. And I don't blame Joe Burrow after the game. In his immediate aftermath of the game, Joe Burrow said, you might better start selling those refunds. I don't blame him. They were all motivated. I'm going to get to the X's and O's after the commercial break, but I think there were 3 deciding factors why the Bengals beat the Bills with the way they did, and it's including Joe Burrow being motivated because he heard Josh Allen being better than him. It's all the media people saying that the Bills were the preseason favorite to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl, and it was the NFL shafting out the Cincinnati Bengals after the tragic events that happened to DeMar Hamlin. I thought the Bengals got completely robbed of an opportunity to have this past game be played in Cincinnati. I'll be back, and I'm going to talk some X's and O's here in a bit. Everybody go follow Wise Guys on Twitter at WiseGuys_H. Also on Facebook, Wise Guys. Be sure to follow Wise Guys. Instagram at These Guys Know Sports. I'll be right back.